Before jumping to the actual design process, knowing of UI and UX design itself, what is the definition for these terms is very helpful for beginner users. Okay, what is UI and UX design? UI is a stand for user interface and UX is a stand for user experience. Almost in every place when we talk about, for example, UI or UX, you have to say both terms together because they're extremely related to each other. And UX without UI is nothing just a piece of information. And UI without user experience is a kind of person without feeling. The person exists already. You see his or her eyes. You see anything else that is a visual representation of her or himself, but without a feeling, without a sense. Okay? Yeah. UX is a stand for user experience, and all studies and research that done on what user feeling while they work on a piece of software or websites or any other interaction product, and not all product, because when we talk about product and industrial, there is another terms that is product or industrial design, that we don't want to take to these industrial design, and we just talk about UX and UI design. And in short form, UX is the emotion and experience that an end user has while they're working with a product or with an application or a desktop softwares or anything else that needs an end user. Okay? And on the other hand, UI or user interface design is taking all those information from a UX designer, or if UI and UX designer is one person, and all those information that you gain while researching and other UX process that we'll discuss about it on the next lesson, and you take all of them and visualize them according to design principles into a standard mobile application or web design user interface. All texts, images, text fields, pattern, and all those things that you are interacting while working with a mobile application like Facebook or Instagram or any other softwares is a UI. Sign a button that you see on the mobile application is a user interface elements. Text fields that you type your username or password or any other information, also a user interface elements. All those things that you interact with them is a user interface elements. It's a little bit complicated because these terms are very related to each other, and I have tried to explain them in a short way. There's a lot of other definition and there's a lot of other explanation that you can find on web that going in depth of these definition. But if you are a beginner to user interface and user experience design, this explanation is helpful for you and you don't need a lot of other information in this phase. What are the process while designing UI and UX? Design process are different according to software platforms, usability, and other stuffs that you want to create an application for that. For example, if you want to design a user interface for a mobile application, these process are a standard process for creating a user interface and design them. The first process, goals and understanding the goals. Why you creating these user interface? For which application? What is application about? What application do? All these things is important in this step. Then you go to planning. How you create layouts, how you create composition, what color you use, all these kind of stuff in this planning section. Then you jump to wireframing. You wireframe the layout and composition and where to use icons, where to use texts, all these wireframes. The other process is the prototypes. You take all those wireframes and clean up a little bit and add more details to find all elements and getting colors, taking or digitize them. For example, if you wireframe these elements in a piece of paper or drawing, you can just take all of them and convert it to a digital version in Photoshop, Illustrator, or any other graphic softwares. Then once you design these prototypes, show it to your supervisor or your client, take that feedback and make changes in the visual design process, changing the colors, changing the typography, all those other final touches. Then at the last part, create a mockup design for this. For example, taking that and put it in a mobile device and distribute it along the team members, and when they interact with these mockups, they will find what you need to do in future or what things this design need, all these other feedbacks you gave in this mockup design, and then you can change them in the future. Once all of these process complete, you save all of your design in the different formats and give them to a developer, to a mobile developer or web developer. Or if you Android developer or website designer also, you take all these designs and apply them developing process. And one thing keep in mind that when you start creating UI, you need some information from UX designers or user experience designer that create and analyze experience of the users while the using application. For example, when a user come to this application, what will happen? What form it's complete? How to create an account? All these other emotions and feelings. And most of the time for small companies, user interface and UX are the same persons. And one person individually do all these tasks and on that case, your design process mixed with business studies and research. For example, before designing, you need to research about the users, understand and analyze the application goals, requirements, prototyping, testing, feedbacks, visual design, mockup, and then delivering to development process if you are a UI and UX designer. These are the process for you. Okay, these terms and these process are a little bit complicated and don't feel overwhelmed to this. If you didn't understand these process, it's not problem at all. Keep going to this courses and then once you enter this design process, you will know all of these and it will be better for you. Okay, before jumping to the actual lessons for creating and drawing our wireframes in Balsamiq mockups, let's talk about what is UI and UX wireframing and why we should draw wireframes in a sketch before starting create our UI and UX. If you ever search about user interface and user experience design process, the very cool phase of this process is wireframing and sketching. It's mean that drawing the very first details of the idea that we want to build our application or website, user interface and user experience on them. And we have two types of sketching and wireframing, low-res and high-resolution sketch. Low-res is a very low detail wireframing. For example, we just draw lines and several patterns without any colors and other tools, just an overall look of our UI elements and screens. And for example, we can put icons and some borderings, not too much detail in that. It's called low-res wireframing and sketching of UI and UX design. On the other hand, we have high detail wireframes and a sketch that once you take the feedback from your client or someone else that you're working for him or her, you take those low-res wireframes and change them to high wireframes mockup to look like a real app and you just add so many details on that. For example, creating patterns, adding icons, different kinds of icons and just layout and composition of those patterns, alignment, padding and all those stuffs in Iris wireframe. And after wireframes, we will build a colorized prototype or an actual prototype with image, with text, with different other UI elements to look like a real app. And we'll design this in Photoshop and Illustrator and other graphic softwares according to our wireframes and sketches. Keep in mind that having wireframe is very, very important before starting UI and user experience design. Okay, here I'm in a Balsamiq mockup and you can download this software from the creator websites and it's not free. You can just have a trial version, but it's paid version, and once you download it, make sure that you install it correctly and open the Balsamiq mockup and it's look like this. Okay, you see that Balsamiq mockup has a very simple user interface. In here you see the menu bars and we have our projects, edit, views, windows and help. The first one is the project. You can just create new project from here. You can open the project. You can save your project and also create new mockups. You have import and export to export out from to PNG or export out to PDF or any other formats. Okay. And here you have your great views and also your workspace. For example, if I put this to mockups, you see all of your mockups that you have in here, several mockups. You can change this to the great and to the thumbnail to see your mockup. And also you can rename that. For example, I'm just rename this to the new and like this. You can do a bunch of other things in here. For example, you can duplicate that mockups. You can just create move to trash and create alternate version. For example, just duplicate this and we can just change some elements to the duplicated version, but it is not affected to this version, to the real version, and we will talk about it in the next lesson when we create our wireframes. Okay. In here you see your UI elements. For example, you have big patterns like cover flows, like image, iPad, iPhone, and also you have all the things. It's very powerful and very, very efficient ways to add your elements, and you do need to start creating from scratch these kind of elements. And we have patterns, for example. We have different kinds of patterns for iPhone, and we have on and off savage playbacks. In here we have commons like checkboxes, like browsers view if you want to build user interface for websites. And also we have icons, some fixes and links in here. Shapes, for example, rectangle and circle shape is very, very usable in here. And also we have containers, for example, windows, browser shapes, and also we have forms, different kinds of forms, icons, different sets of icons, for example, the Bluetooth icon, the setting app icon, all the icon that you need for a mobile application or for a website is exist in here. And also you can create your own icons that I will show you in the next lesson. In here you have all the iOS display, for example, iOS keyboards and alert box in here, and a bunch of other things that you can just check it out with yourself and find what you need in here. Okay. And the other things that I want to mention in here is that you can just simply search what icons and what assets you need from here. And also you can change the screen mode to full screen in here. And it's very useful while you're working with your team or you're just showing that for your clients. It's very useful way to display it like a presentation. Okay, press escape to just close the full screen mode, and in here you have all your attributes. For example, if I drag any elements from here, just hold on the right click mouse button and drag in here in your canvas, and once I drag, it just tells me that write your text. For example, we can write our text in here, enter your password, and also yes or no or different other stuff. And once I click in here, you see all those texts appear in this side, and it's very useful for a low-res and high-res wireframing, because we don't need any other colors, we don't need any other layout and composition. We just need some tiny details to just imagine what we want to build in our final prototypes. Okay, and we'll talk about these attributes in the next lessons. And also you can undo and redo from here. You can duplicate, paste, and also you can just zoom in and zoom out. You can use these shortcuts also. Fit to window, for example, if I just have this kind of things in here and just go in here and fit on window, you see that it's fit just all the way in my canvas. And also you can hide your markups and show markups that we'll talk about it while we're creating our project. You can have multiple mockups in here. For example, if I just go in here and add a new mockups, and you see that my other mockups is in here, and I can just grab between these mockups and simply paste some shapes and copy pasting and other stuffs. Okay, that was a brief overview to Balsamiq mockup user interface, and in the next lesson we'll talk about how to change different attributes of these elements and how to add and combine them, like grouping, like bring forwards and bring back, and these other elements. Okay, let's talk about some attributes and works that you can do inside of this canvas in Balsamiq mockup. Okay, as an example, I just drag a very simple elements like buttons in here, and for example, use this to log in, label of that, log in, and also let's add another one, maybe this keyboard. And once I select this, you see a bunch of parameters and attributes appears in here. These attributes are those attributes and parameters that we can change for a specific elements, and these are different according to your elements. For example, it's different according to this elements. When I select this keyboard, you see that attributes are changed and completely different. Okay, let's talk about attributes in buttons. In buttons, I can just simply change the position of that in here. I can do it with mouse also, and with the exact same numbers for X and Y, and also the size of that. In here, for example, we can just change that to this size, and I can just do with this transform Beziers and shapes also. In here, I have my layering options. For example, if I put this in here, I can change the bring to front or just go back like this and bring it to front, and other style that we will work on it while we're creating our mockups. Okay, the other thing in here is the arrow size, that when we click, it just change size of itself with the arrow size and default size. Okay, and here we have our background color. We can change it like this, and different other colors we can use. In here we can put icons beside of this text. For example, if I select in here, and it will show me a very nice libraries of icon. You can find different icons according to their categories, for example, brands, charts, and etc. For example, I can just direct this kinds of buttons. Let me find this, maybe this. Okay. Once you select, you can just change the size of it, a small, medium, and XL and XXL, very large. For example, let's imagine me add in a small. Select your size and okay, now you see that you have your icon beside of your text, and it's very useful while creating a wireframe. So we can change our size in here, and also we can link this button to any other mockups in here. For example, let me go to my other mockups and drag another view, maybe and go in here and select my button, go to link, and in here I can simply, for example, select the mockups. If I have different mockups, I can select with that, and I can just link with the new mockup, link it to duplicate of this mockup or anything else. But in here I'm just selecting this mockup. It means that when I click that, it will go in here in this mockup. Okay, for checking this interaction, let's put it in preview mode and full screen mode, and when I go in here and click, you see that it's drive me to other mockups that we have linked, and it's very powerful tools for creating interactive mockups between these elements. Okay, let's escape that and go to our first mockup, and in here I can put and on the menu to this button. For example, if I choose that, you see that this drop down menu is appearing here, and if I don't want, just off this, and I can change the state of that, for example, selected or in focus or disable. Choose different state for your buttons, and also you can change the text of it, bold, italic, and different other size of it like this, and it's very powerful. Okay, let's talk about this keyboard attributes. It's different. For example, you can change the keyboard to the iPad keyboard, and you can change to full QWERTY landscape and portrait keyboard in here. Let's drag another elements like maybe this one, on and off switch, that you can change the different state, for example, off and on, and you can link that also with your mockups. Okay, let's go to checkbox. For example, you can change checkbox state in here, for example, selected, intermediate, like this, and disabled. Okay. And here is a cool part of that. For example, if I add a slider, everything that have a slider in Balsamiq mockup, you can change the value of this slider. For example, I can change the value like this. And it is very cool if you have a high-res details of wireframes in Sketch. Okay, let's delete this and go to another. In here I have arrow, and if I drag that, I can type a text for that, a label, for example, option, and it's appearing here. I can just drag in this spine and create a curve type lines. Okay, you have different types of things. You can select each details, and also, for example, if I have image in here, you can type label, placeholder, And once I drag, I can just duplicate, just scale it up. I can use show borders in here, use different kinds of borders, and also I can use different kinds of image instead of that. For example, let me add another image in here, maybe this image, and wait for importing. And now you see that image is used instead of your placeholder, and it's very useful. You can change the text and arrow staffs in here. Okay, make sure that check all of these icons and elements and play around with them, play around with different attributes to achieve your desired look, and they're very powerful and they help you a lot while you're creating your wireframes. In the next lesson, we want to start creating wireframing for a chat application, messaging application, and it will be very cool. Okay, let's create a very low-res wireframe for a chat application, fixed messaging. And for this, I'm just going to a rectangle and drag a rectangle in here and put it in this side, make it like this. You can adjust your screen size, for example, if you want, but it's not important for a low-res wireframe. If you want, it's okay to have a precise size, but it's not a problem at all. I'm just showing you how to use different elements and combine them to create that kind of things. Okay, once I drag in here, I have different kinds of border style. You can just use rounded, dashed, and also pop and these kind of stuff. But for this, I'm just using the straightforwards, and also in here you can adjust your backgrounds, you can adjust your borders, opacity, and other stuff. If you want, you can just adjust the scrollable in here also, but I don't want that. Okay, once you do that, let's add a circle shape, and maybe I am just putting a placeholder. And let me scale it up like this and put it in this side. And also I need a button. For button, I'm just using this button. And also let me type getting started, and size it up like this, put it in this side, a little bit larger, and also go to here and change the text size to this size, maybe 20 is good. Also bolder version a little bit. Okay. The other thing that I want to do is already have an account and login in here. Text I want to use in here. And just simply type. And once you type, let's drag it below of this button. And also maybe for this, I'm just using a color if you want, but for styling it's good. Choose this kind of color. Okay, let's drag this to the center of the screen and also create another text. And by holding the Alt and drag, you can duplicate the entire elements in here. And let's add a tagline, for example. And for tagline, I'm just using a little bit higher text. And put it in this side, maybe higher than this, or maybe 24. Put it in this side, and let's add a slideshow ovals in here, a little tiny circles in here for slideshow, for getting started, and let's go to common and drag a shape in here. I don't want to use text, and by control minus and control plus, zoom in and put it in this side. And by holding Alt, duplicate them. Okay, for selecting multiple objects, hold Shift and click to hold a different objects, and also you can use Control G for grouping, Control G, and it's now a group. And you can also convert this to a symbol, and once you convert that to a symbol, you can find that in your asset library also. Okay, let's drag it in here, and for selecting the elements of your group, just double click in here and you can now have all access to the group inside. Let's enter escape, and now our work is finished, I think, and the other things that I need is iPhone mockup in here. Let me go to containers, or maybe big, and drag an iPhone and select all of them, Control G, and put it in this side like this. Okay, and select your group and put this to the bring forward, and let's scale it into iPhone screen, and now you have all your things set up. Okay, let's create another screen for ourselves. And if you don't want to create an interactive prototype that in this course we want to build that, we want to use different mockups page. We can design it in the same canvas if you don't want to create an interactive prototype. For example, we want to create this button interactive. When I just enter to the full screen mode, when I click in here, it must be go to different mockups that we will design. Okay, for this, I'm just going here and duplicate that. Once you duplicate that, rename this to forms and rename it. Go to here and let's open our group. Okay, and delete this also, and maybe this also, put it in this side, change the getting started to done, and also let's drag up text fields. Where is text field? Text fields, comment, text input. Okay, drag it in here and choose email address, email, and put it in this side. Make it like this. Okay, and maybe drag it up to have a keyboard in here. And once you do that, let's go to iOS and drag a keyboard in here. Make it, scale it up and put this in this side and scale it up. Okay, like this, and put it this side. Let's change some attributes in here. For example, we have different kinds of bordering style. We have some lines in here that you've seen in a lot of modern forms, and I can duplicate that by holding Alt. And also let's change the size of text to 16, and also maybe a little bit of space, and also change the color of border to green, and sorry, green. Okay, let's type here username, and in here let's type password. Okay, this screen is also complete, and let's hit the escape, and our two screen is finished. In the next lesson, we want to create another screen for that, for sign up, and then we create an interactive prototype inside of Balsamiq mockup for that. Okay, let's duplicate this form and duplicate, just rename this to login. For example, if some user have their own account and they want to sign in to this application, they have to use this login page. And for this login page, I'm just change this down to login and delete the email because we just need password, and also for checkboxes, remember me and other things, and delete this, or maybe change this to don't have an account. Maybe some user misstep and accidentally just click on the login button, and they have an option to get right back to the getting start page. Okay, don't have an account. Let's drag a checkbox in here, common checkbox, and remember, okay, and also let's drag another text in here, label forgot password or reset password, and put it in this side. Okay, this also good. Maybe a little bit lower icon in here. We can add it into other prototypes, iris prototype. In here I'm just using a placeholder. Okay, it's also finished, I think, and okay, let's create a conversation screen and duplicate that. And let's rename this to the conversation. Okay, it's good, rename. And go in here and delete these elements because we don't need them, and just delete all of them. Sorry, I have to select all of them and delete. The first thing that I want to drag is, okay, let's add a model screen in here for the top of our snake bars in here. For example, go back and create new conversation and these kind of stuff. And also it's good, maybe move back or move front, sorry. It's good, and duplicate another one in here and put it in this side. Very nice. And maybe like this. Okay. The other things I want to do is add an icon, and an icon. Okay, let's drag an icon and double click in here, and I will change that. Double click in here and find our add icon. Okay, in here I'm just using an add icon. Let me find that, and I find this and just select a small size and put it in this side, maybe a little bit zoom in and change the icon to white and put it in this side and a little bit side. Okay, and also another icon in here for adding new user. White this also and put it medium. Align it like this. Very nice. And okay, let's create our icons in here. And for this, I'm just using message and also sharing and profile setting in here. Let's add icons in here for this. I'm just simply find them. Okay, I have found all of these icons from icon libraries, and also let me add some lines to separate them from each other. And for lines, I'm going to all, and let's find maybe straightforward lines. Where is that? Like this. I think it's good. Drag it. Also maybe dashes, or no, straight is good. Size it down in here and maybe a little bit like this. And change the color to something like this gray, and maybe a little bit smaller. to separate a kind of separation between these elements. And the other thing is the user conversation and the user message. For this, I'm just dragging two things. Okay, the first one is let's duplicate this and change the color to this color. And maybe we need except and also, sorry, put it in this side and drag a rectangle and put it, sorry, I'm just selecting that and forward. Make it a little bit larger. Okay, very nice. And also it's the user profile, and also you can just add a label for that username. And bold it out a little bit, or maybe it's very large, and 20 is okay, I think. Okay, put it in this side. And also for text itself, text goes here. Also bold and bolded that and make it a little bit smaller. Okay, and let's add time for that. And for time, just use maybe PM. Put it on this side. Also, let's drag down. Okay, once you do that, let's select all of them, and let me add another lines in here. Maybe a separator in this side, and also select all of them by holding shift, and let's group them. Ctrl G and duplicate that. You see that we've created our user and conversation screen. You can do for the newsfeed and also profile setting like this. You can use these elements and these icons to create your own wireframes. In the next lesson, we create an interactive links between these patterns right inside the Balsamiq mockup. Okay, let's start creating links between these patterns. I'm starting with the first page, and for this pattern in here, I'm just open the group, click on this pattern and go to link. And for this, I'm just using the forms. Okay, once you click on forms, let's go to another screen, and also for that, I'm using the link to the conversation message screen. And for this already have an account, I'm just using the login information and go to new, select already have an account and change the link to the login. Okay. Like this, you can create links between them, and now let's test that. Click in here, and it's the full screen mode, you can see. And when I click in here, getting a star, it's going to this forms like this. And if I click on already have an account, it's go to login. Okay, I can choose login, for example, and also don't have an account. Okay, you see that it's good. Now let's check other screen, login. In login, let's use that to link to the conversation. And okay, now when I click to the login, you see that it's driving me to this login page, and I can create different kinds of links for different screens in here. For example, when I click in this newsfeed, it must be go to other screen that you will design and other stuffs like this in Balsamiq mockup. Okay, and let's export our mockups for using to another platforms to create an interactive prototype. In this class, we will use the Marvel app interactive prototyping tools, a web application called Marvel app that let us to create an interactive prototype between these screens. Okay, let's start with cancel it, go to project and export, all mockups to PNG. And also let me use transparent background, and also go to export current all mockups, sorry, to PNG, and let's create new folders, mockups, and select folder. Now all your mockup is appear in your folder that you've selected, like this. In the next lesson, we will take these mockups and create a very good interactive prototype with links and buttons in Marvel app. Okay, I'm in marvelapp.com, and once you enter to this site, create a account, free account trial version, and if you want to upgrade to the premium one, you can do it with lots of other features, but I'm using the trial version. You can just simply fill in the blanks with your email address and password, and this kind of a screen is appear. Okay, for this, we can use design tool to design from scratch with the Marvel app designers, and we can just add an image that we have designed in Balsamiq mockup. Okay, add image, choose my computer, and you can use other sharing and file sharing apps like Dropbox, Google Drive, and Box. I'm just using my computer, and let's select our mockups that we have designed, all of them. Click open. Okay, you see that it's all appear in here, and also the cool thing about it is that you can add icon. If you have an app icon, you can do that, and I'm just using with this first, then this. Okay, it's okay, and click on edit. Once you click on edit, this kind of screen is appear, and you can now create your own interactive patterns like this. And for this, I'm just selecting this part and create an auto spot. Once you click, this kind of thing is appear. In here, you can just link to last visited if you have, and also link to the other URL, for example, different other website that you want, or scroll to anchor. We don't want these. We just want to have a transition to this page, and select your page. Go to a screen transition, and you can have different screen transition, for example, fade or none or push left. You have slide down, you have pop-up, flip, flow, and slide. For example, let's use pop-up, pops, and also you can use other actions like gestures, hovers, and other stuff, but I'm using pop. And let's go to edit, and you can link this area to this area, and for this I'm just using this kind of transition, and go to Dan. It's very simple, and go to edit. For login, I'm just creating an auto spot in login. When user login, it must be go to this conversation and go to screen transition and add pop. And let's add another auto spot in here, don't have an account, and link that with this form. And for a screen transition, I'm just use this, and then yeah, it's done. Now let's preview that, play it. Okay, one thing keep in mind that in here you see two iPhones, and it's not good at all in our design process. If you want to create an interactive prototype, that we have forgotten to delete this iPhone mockup, but it's not problem. We just check out our transition and other stuff. If you want to create an interactive prototype for your client and other users, you must delete this one if you want to use that in Marvel apps and prototyping. You have to delete this one. Okay, now let's start testing. Click on get a start. You see that it's appear like this, and also don't have an account, go to login. Okay, it's login, and now when I click on login, you see that it's appear in this conversation. Okay, you can do a lot of other things. Just close that, and you can now share it with others, share with URLs that you can check it on your browser. You can email that, you can use the embedded links to your websites, and you can do a user test, connect to Lookback, or just connect your account to Lookback, and a user can test that and explore that with project name and description and publish. You can do that. Hope you enjoyed from this class, and don't forget to check out other Poly and Motion courses on UI and UX design, motion graphic and graphic design on Udemy and Skillshare, and please review on that. And if you like that, put review on them, and also